All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Hello, everyone. This is Nate the Great coming to you live from the All Sports, All Plays Network. I am here today with Trey Collis. How are you doing?
Well, I'm great, man. A lot of good football games on today. I can't wait to talk about it. A lot of good college games on yesterday. So I'm in a great mood. Thanksgiving's right around the corner. I already got my Christmas tree up. I'm ready. I'm festive. Let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Before we go ahead and get started, we do have a sponsor. We have Anchor. If you want to go ahead and create your own podcast, but you don't know where to start, just go to Anchor because, for one, it's free. 2, you have your own creation tools and you can edit and do all that kind of stuff. And yeah, Anchor you can use as a sponsor to get money out of it. So to start your own podcast, you can just go to Anchor to get started. Now, Trey, I had to ask you a question. We have the T-shirts coming up. We have the T-shirts out there, and I want to know, how can the viewers get a free one?
Well, all you got to do is viewers comment, like our show, follow our show. You can be a winner of a free shirt, or you can go and all you're paying is what was it, $24.99 to get shipping and handling to you.
Yeah,
so it's a great shirt.
Plus shipping and handling.
So all you gotta do is go to our page, follow ASAP's All Sports All Play Network. Follow us, like us, comment on any show, and we'll be more than happy to send you a shirt.
Now, yeah, if you guys go ahead and get those shirts, I don't have a shirt yet, so I would be a little bit jealous. And Trey, do you have a shirt?
No, I'm brand new. I'm fixing to order one tonight as soon as I get off the air, though. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm planning on maybe getting one soon as well. We do have a few comments in the Brandon Herrera says, "Good evening to you guys," and wow, a free shirt, sweet. So let's get right into it. Sunday night football game, we had the New England Patriots and the Baltimore Ravens. Patriots won this game 23-17. That came into a shocker because I did not expect the running game to be as good as what they were. I didn't expect the running game to do as well as they did. Trey, do you agree on that?
Well, this year's got to remember, this year's New England team is a lot different from last year's New England team when they had Tom Brady. Cam Newton has always been a run-first kind of quarterback. So even going back to his Auburn days, running the football, power run, he's more comfortable in that formation. And then they have like a two-headed monster, the Tonight Harris and Burkhead running the ball down. So you saw signs of it last week when they played the New York Jets, with Burkhead running the ball the way he did, having an all-star kind of a game. And then that's just a way Cam Newton in that offense he's always been a part of, even in Carolina when he had Christian McCaffrey, all those running backs, and him. He's a power run guess kind of quarterback. He's like a fullback in a sense of his weight and his size. So yes and no, because we're so used to the New England Patriots team play action passing all the time with Tom Brady, and that's just not what this New England team is. They're going to run the ball this year, and I think that Bill Belichick and the offensive coordinator McDaniels have figured it out. I think they something clicked last week, even though it was against New York Jets, and how they ran the ball and how they basically carried the game in the closing moments of last week's game, and just a light bulb went off. And I think that you're going to see that from now on. Run heavy first, and then it's going to open up Myers, who's going to be who was a quarterback slat turned receiver this year. He's going to become a superstar in this New England offense if he stays healthy. And then we get Edelman back. So this offense is going to be run first, heavy first, and then you're probably going to start seeing those play action passes again. So I wasn't a little shocked, but I was a little shocked at the way the Baltimore defense did handle it, though. That's one thing I was shocked about.
Now, there are a lot of players during this offseason that decided to take a year off because of this whole COVID situation going on here, including 6 players from the New England Patriots defense. Now, New England stopped the Baltimore Ravens today, especially Lamar Jackson, with his run game. The Ravens only Lamar only ran for like 55 yards. He was the leading rusher during this game. Do you think that New England, for how well they did on the defensive standpoint, did that come into a shock?
That come into a shock? Yeah, not. I knew Bill Belichick coming to the game. Bill Belichick, the mastermind that he is, he was going to, because I think last year Baltimore ran over New England. He wasn't going to let that happen in Foxborough this time around. So I think he had a game plan and said the way it was, and I think the weather might have played a little bit of difference in that as well. But I tell you, what a year makes different in different ways. Because last year, no one really had a good tape on Lamar Jackson. And this year, they've had a full season of Lamar Jackson tape. So that comes into effect as well. So if you just look at the offense all the way around, Lamar Jackson's not having that stellar season as he did last year. Am I shocked that he couldn't get the other running backs involved? J.K. Dobbins. Now remember, Mark Ingram as well is coming off injury. So this was his first game back. Edwards, he was second. He was the leading rusher, I guess you can say, besides Lamar Jackson. He had 42 yards. But the way the New England played it perfection, I said this ever since Lamar Jackson came in the league, is that you have to make Lamar Jackson a thrower. He cannot beat you throwing the ball. If you look at the stats, they rush for 171 yards per game, and they only throw for like 180 or 100 and something yards a game. That's dead last in the NFL. Lamar Jackson cannot be. Yes, he might throw a little dime pass here and there to his tight end, to Snead on the outside, stuff like that. But Bill Belichick played it perfect, stack the box, make him be a thrower, especially in that weather. There's no way that Lamar Jackson is going to beat you throwing the ball. And the New England Patriots did what they had to do. They got ahead of what they got ahead, and they made Lamar Jackson become a thrower, and they couldn't rely on that run-heavy game that they're so accustomed to. So I wasn't really shocked at the way how New England handled the run. I'm just shocked at how many points New England scored and how they scored those points. That's what I'm really more shocked about.
So is there one thing that the Baltimore Ravens can improve on heading into their next game, which is against the Titans?
Good thing is the Titans defense is not that great. So you're probably going to see their run game improve a little bit more. You're going to get I'm just telling you, it's up to Lamar Jackson. He has weapons all over the field with Andrews at tight end. You have Ingram at your running back. You have Snead on the outside. You have Hollywood Brown on the outside as well, who can beat anyone on one-on-one coverage down the field. He's one of the fastest players in the league. So saying all that, it's on Lamar Jackson to put him in the positions. And then also the call playing's got to be a little bit better. You can't have Lamar Jackson running the ball like a playground because teams are starting to understand how Lamar Jackson kind of works a little bit. Yes, he's going to get his yards here and there, but the way to contain Lamar Jackson is that they're starting to get tape and feel even better, more confident on how to contain him a little bit. But he's still going to get his yards. But, yeah, against Tennessee, the Tennessee defense has given up 25 points a game. We saw it last week. We saw it Thursday night against Indianapolis Colts. Just basically run the Tennessee Titans all the way over. So that run first offense for the Baltimore Ravens should be no problem for the Tennessee Titans, and I think that they should go ahead and win that game. But can they stop Mark Henry? If they can't stop this New England Patriots rushing attack, do you think they're going to stop Mark Henry in that rushing attack? So it should be a fun game in that aspect. It should be a close game, but I still think Baltimore should go ahead and win that game if they do everything they're supposed to, right?
Now on the flip side with New England, is there anything that you think that they should improve on heading into their next game? Which I believe, if I remember correctly, I believe their Week 11 opponent is or I'll have to get back to you. Oh, they play the Texans. They play the Texans next week. Is there anything that you think that they should improve on when playing against the Texans?
I mean, I think you're starting to see who the New England Patriots are this year. I think you're starting to see what kind of, and I think you've seen it the last two games with Cam Newton instead of Tom Brady. This ain't your regular, like I said earlier, this ain't your regular throwback play action pass team. It's a run heavy first team, and they have three great running backs and plus Cam Newton in that aspect as well. So you're starting to see the wheels turn. It's a little bit too late. It might be because the Bills and the Dolphins are starting to look more superior than the Patriots. But I think that the offense is starting to click on every level right now. All you got to do is Burkhead running the ball well. You have Harris who comes out. Then you're going to get White healthy. You're going to get all these other players back. And then if you ever get Julian Edelman back, then everything's going to start to click as well. So what they're doing right now is working. Just keep doing what you're doing the last two games, even though they were against the Jets. And then you beat a 6-2 Baltimore Ravens team, who a lot of people have them going to the Super Bowl this year. You just saw how they were able to handle that. So just keep doing what's been working. Don't get fancy. Don't get cute. Just Bill Belichick won. He's a smart man. He's won 6 Super Bowls. So New England Patriots are sitting pretty for next week. Houston's a horrible team. They can't beat anybody besides Jacksonville. So they should have no problems against Houston next week.
And we do have a couple of comments. Brandon Herrera says that Jackson is not a quarterback that can rely his team to win, I feel. Yeah, I definitely it might be. I mean, we've heard this in the past. It might be because of the weapons that he has, like the wide receivers and tight ends and stuff. But as of this year, I don't really have anything to prove that it's really him or the weapons. And he also said the Patriots will take an L next week. Ooh, I don't know.
There is no way the Patriots are going to lose to the Houston Texans. I'm sorry. The Houston Texans don't have a deep threat. They don't have a running game. They rely Will Fuller's not showing up in any way. Their defense is suspect right now. You saw it today. They lost to the Browns, who don't have much weapons. As they lost Odell Beckham Jr. for the year, and Baker Mayfield's a horrific quarterback, and they lost. so they can't score points. That's in New England, I think it's the number one defense in the league right now. So there's no way I see and I think Houston Texans have nailed it in. I think they want to get a good draft pick for next year, start building that team. So I don't see it.
So to move on for the game, that just happened shortly before that. It's the New Orleans Saints. They beat the San Francisco 49ers 27-13.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Brees got hurt late second half. And the Saints were pretty much dominant in the second half to pull, that win. We have Ace brought up the point with Drew Brees about, how you have Michael Thomas who got hurt, and you have all these guys that got hurt, and they did make 2 losses, one to the Raiders and one to Green Bay. But they still managed to come out and find a way to win. Do you think the opposite is true with what you saw in this game, or is it just because, they played the 49ers? Yeah, it was kind of easy guess to make.
I tell you what, if Drew Brees isn't healthy in the next couple of weeks, Saints should be starting to get worried because you can't rely on Winston to lead that team to a Super Bowl. There's no way in the world. We saw what he did in Tampa. Yes, Sean Payton is the head coach. He's an offensive-minded. He's a great quarterback whisperer. Look what he did with Teddy Bridgewater last year, winning 5 straight games with him against that tough schedule that they were facing. People were hoping to just go 2-3. Instead, he won 5 straight games. With Jameis Winston, you're not going to get. He's a turnover machine. So I think they got a little bit lucky today because the San Francisco 49ers is basically playing their second string. I mean, Mullins was their starting quarterback in the first quarter and a half. They were up double digits on the Saints, and they should have been up more if they would have scored a red zone touchdown and been up 14-0. But that Saints defense is what's going to have to carry that team. That 4-line pass rush for the New Orleans Saints. We saw how gave Tom Brady fits last week. If they can stay healthy and turn the ball over, you have Jenkins on the backside controlling the secondary, and then the 4-legged rush that they have. There's just that defense is going to have to carry Drew Brees out because Michael Thomas is going to have. He's coming back from injury plus suspension. It's going to take him a while to get his feet wet and back in the flow of things, and he's not going to be able to do that with Jameis Winston because he's wildly inaccurate. You can lean on Alvin Kamara. He's one solid dude. You can screen pass it to him. You can toss it to him. He can make a 2-yard gain into a home run play anytime, any place, anywhere. So, but I think from here, if Drew Brees if it's only a bruised rib instead of broken ribs, and he cannot go further, if he's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks or whatever the case may be, then if I'm a Saints fan, I'm going to have to be a little bit worried because you still got to play a first-place schedule, and they've got a couple more big games. And I think Tampa Bay has an easier schedule than the New Orleans Saints do right now, saying that. So it's something to look out for. I just think that they got lucky today because I think if they were playing any other team like the Rams, the Packers, those caliber teams, Super Bowl caliber teams, I think they would have got demolished in that second half by every stretch of the imagination.
So we have some more comments saying that it's 2020, so anything can happen, LOL, referring back to the Patriots and the Ravens game. Ace said that, really? So that we said there's no way the Patriots could beat the Ravens, so it's possible. And then referring to this game, Brandon Herrera said Winston just needs to manage the game. And, I wanted to bring this one up especially because Ace says that Winston may be the future for that team. So if Brees is hurt for a couple of weeks, this would be an audition for Winston. I agree with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with that. And a second thing to add up too, we're about to head into week 11 for the year. And it's not like it's week 17. If he's out for 2 to 3 weeks, that's no big deal. I mean, yeah, they might gain like one loss. I haven't checked their schedule yet, but they might gain like one loss, but it's not going to be that bad. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I don't, because you're in that tight NFC, and if you're New Orleans Saints, you're pushing for that bye week. You have an older quarterback in Drew Brees who's 41. One game here, if you lose one game here or there, you could easily be dropped from. We saw it last year. They dropped from the number 2 seed all the way down to the number. They had to play a divisional round. I forgot what seed they got in. Three seed. They had a host, and they lost to the Minnesota Vikings. So one game is pressurized in that sense. And if you're the New Orleans Saints, you have to be the home team. I know it's 2020 and there's no fans. There's really no home field advantage this year. But if you're the Saints, for some reason, they play a lot better at home than they do away. But you got to remember the AFC West is right on their heels. Then Tom Brady and company, they're only one game back in the loss column. So if you lose a couple of games and the Buccaneers go ahead and win out, then you're going to go ahead and not host any playoff games and be a wild card team. So one or two games. And Jameis Winston, this is an audition, and he could very well be a great quarterback. But what I've seen out of Tampa Bay these last couple of years, ever since he became a rookie, he's a turnover machine. He can throw dimes down the field, but then he's wildly inaccurate at times as well. Like, what is he thinking? And I just think he has to manage the game, like Herrera said. So, but yeah, I know it's only week 11, but if he's out 2, 3, 4 games and they lose a couple of those games, now you got to be a little bit worried if you're a Saints fan.
Now we're gonna go back to this comment. Ace posted in the comments section that and the only difference between Winston played for Tampa is that he didn't really have a running back, which is true because they bring in the guy from the Jaguars. I'm
Leonard Fournette.
Leonard Fournette. Yeah, I don't know why I forgot about him, even though it's on my fantasy team. Yeah, they bring in Leonard Fournette. They bring in LeSean McCoy from the Bills. So yeah, they do have running backs that they didn't have last year. And then Brandon Herrera says if Brees misses the next 4 games, Winston can manage 4 wins against the Falcons twice, Broncos, and Eagles. Now, looking on the 49ers standpoint, I'm just talking about the NFC West as a whole. We going into week 11, we have 3 teams in the NFC West, all with 3 losses. They're all competing for that top spot. The 49ers are just in a little bit of a mess this year. Yeah, they did suffer a lot of injuries, but they're currently last place. Do you see them at all maybe making that at the very most, 7th seed?
No. Like we said on our Thursday on the Thursday night post-game show, there's I want to put 4 teams in, but the South is going to get 2 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's true.
And then Saints, and then the NFC North is going to get 1 with the Packers for sure, and then the East you just have to give someone to it, and then those 3 teams ahead of them, they're just way. The 49ers are injured all throughout the field. Kittle's out. Garoppolo, I forgot his name. The quarterback. Garoppolo is out. Yes, him. He's out. They just got their running back. They're just injured all across the field. That defensive front lines that what carried their team last year, they're hurt as well. But there's no way. Unless they get very lucky and Kyle Shanahan has something up his sleeves, there's no way they can leapfrog the Rams or the Seahawks or the Cardinals this year. Cardinals look for real. this year. Everyone was banging on Cliff Kingsbury and company for coming from Texas Tech with a losing record, but he knows what he's doing with Kyle Murray and how to manage him as well in that offense. And he has that offense rocking and rolling, as we saw today, especially with DeAndre Hopkins. Rams, their offense is legit with the bootlegged, with Goff. And then the Seahawks, they're kind of – I don't know what the Seahawks offense is dynamite, but they didn't show up today. And then their defense is horrible. So, but I think their offense will overcome that, and I think those three teams. Now, if the NFL can push the NFC East not to go to playoffs, then yes, they can get in. But you have to take a division winner, and that's unlucky for like the Bears, the 49ers, even the Minnesota Vikings for that instance. So I just don't see the 49ers doing it this year.
Brandon Herrera, yeah, we kind of just brought that up. He said, could NFC West finish with the same record for all four teams? Yeah, I mean, never mind. That actually is kind of a little bit different because you don't have to play the Saints anymore for the season. So I don't think so because of how many injuries there are on the field. Do you agree?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the record right now. They go to the Rams next week.
Loss.
That's probably going to be a loss. Then they face the Bills. Loss. No, then they play Washington.
That's
then
probably
Dallas. Washington, Dallas. And then that's 2 wins. And then the rest are Arizona and Seattle.
Yeah.
So 2 wins out of the 5 games.
Remaining the
That
game.
gets you to 6 and 10. There's no way that gets you in. At best, 7 and 9.
So, talking about the next game, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. At this point, I'm not going to ask. Pittsburgh's for sure going to make it, even though they haven't clinched that spot yet. That's going to be theirs. That berth. But the question I will ask is, where in the playoffs do you see Pittsburgh going? What seed?
What seed?
Yeah.
I mean, I could totally see Pittsburgh Steelers getting the number 1 overall seed. But will I say that? No, I think they're going to get the number 2 seed. I think that Baltimore's going to get them 1 game on Thanksgiving night. And don't count out the Browns as getting them as well. If the Browns control the run game like they have been, and let their and then rest their defense, basically take the Cowboys approach that they did in 2000 and when Dak Prescott was a rookie, just run the ball heavy. So don't count out the Browns beating the Steelers one time. I'm not saying they're going to. I'm just saying they can. But the Chiefs, I just don't see how especially getting by, and they're starting to get healthier, and they're starting to click a little bit better on offense. I just don't see how the Chiefs don't get that number 1 overall seed. They play in a weaker division. Las Vegas Raiders are their only opportunity. No, Brendan Herrera saying the 1 seed, and it could happen, but
I don't think so.
But Pittsburgh's problem is, even though they didn't show it today, they get behind early. And if you get behind early against better teams like Baltimore Ravens again, or because I guarantee they got down early against Baltimore the first time, but luckily they came back and won that game. But if you get down early to them again, I don't see them losing and Baltimore losing another game to that, especially with their playoff hopes on the line with Baltimore. It seems like now that they have 3 losses in the stacked AFC, there's a lot of teams with 3 losses. Miami Dolphins, Buffalo Bills, Tennessee Titans. They're just stacked. And the Tennessee Titans aren't even in the playoff picture with the season would end right now. So the Baltimore's going to be pushing for their lives, and I see them being the Pittsburgh Steelers 1 game. Pittsburgh could easily have a losing record as well. A lot of their games, I think today was the only game that wasn't a one score win for them. So they could have easily lost a Dallas game. They could have easily lost a Baltimore game. They could.
Yeah, I think you're saying heading forward.
Yeah. So yes, they're going to win the division by stretch, but right now I have the Chiefs win back-to-back Super Bowls, and I think that they're going to get the number 1 seed. But then at the end, it doesn't matter even if Pittsburgh gets the number 1 seed. You're telling me Kansas City can't go into Pittsburgh with hardly any fans and beating Pittsburgh, especially without a deep threat. They can't throw the ball deep down the field. They just nickel and dime it all the way down the field. They just don't have that. They don't have an Antonio Brown like. Juju Smith-Schuster's a great receiver, but he's not the guy who beat you over the top. So can they get the number 1 seed? Of course they can, but I just don't. I think the Chiefs are just head and shoulders above, and I think that the Steelers are going to lose a couple more, 2 games or so. So
one more question on this game. Other than that, we do have a comment from Brandon Harris. Says Mayfield is 1-3 versus Pittsburgh in his career. I don't think the Browns will beat them. That's true, especially since that one time that Cleveland did beat Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh didn't have Big Ben. So,
well, you also got to remember that the Browns they've had 4 straight under Baker Mayfield. He has had different head coaches, different offensive coordinators ever since he was a rookie in this league.
That's
so
true.
This year he finally has someone, and they have an identity on offense with he was a former, I forgot his name. He came from the Minnesota Vikings, run heavy. They have an identity with Nick Chubb. You have Kareem Hunt coming in the number 2 running back. And then you have Landry who can beat you over the top. And then you have the tight ends. And then they have an identity, and it's running. And we saw that against Dallas. We saw that today against Houston Texans. So once they finally figured out their identity, and they just keep with their identity, it won't be I'm not saying they will beat the Steelers. I'm just saying don't put it past them that the Browns could beat. I mean, the Browns are 6-3 for a reason. I mean, they could win. I mean, but I'm still picking the Steelers to beat them. I'm just saying Browns can upset the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And I think, I don't want to butcher his last name, but his name is Kevin Stefanski.
Yes.
From the Minnesota Vikings.
Yes.
So the next game that I saw this game, and this was, this also came in as a shocker. The Los Angeles Rams beat the Seattle Seahawks 23-16.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson did not throw 1 touchdown pass this game. There's 1 touchdown this game from Seattle, and that was they ran in, and I'm forgetting who Alex Collins from the Seahawks was that one guy that ran in, scored a touchdown for Seattle. Now, history speaking, Seattle has not done, that great with Russell Wilson. Between Arizona, between the Rams, and between the Seahawks, who do you have actually taking the division title?
Man, it's tough. You would have asked me 3 weeks ago. I said Seahawks are going to take the number 1 overall seed. They're going to be the best team in the NFC. Don't know one's going to beat them. Russell Wilson's cooking right now. But Russell Wilson's put together like 2 bad games in a row. I mean, he's had, 4 interceptions in the last 2 games against Buffalo and then against the Rams today. And then he's also fumbling the ball a couple times. So, but I think Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson will figure this out. They just have to, right? You also got to remember Seattle's rushing attack. Carson was out today. Their other running back. So basically, their running back core wasn't there. And so they had to rely on Russell Wilson even more. And it felt like Russell Wilson was just trying too much. And I think that they're just going to ride the ship. And there's just no way I can see them keeping down this path. Now, that defense is going to have to step up heavily because we saw today the Seahawks are going to have to score points. And if they don't do that, any team can beat them. Dallas should have beat them the first week. Dallas scored 31 points against them. The second week. Bills put over 40 points on them. I mean, their defense, what used to be their bread and butter, is now demolished. So I just think that Pete Carroll. I just don't trust the Arizona Cardinals to keep it going. I mean, they got lucky today against the Buffalo Bills. Andre Hawkins made a unbelievable catch against three. I mean, the Rams played that for there's three. The guy just made an unbelievable catch, and they should have lost that game. Honestly, if it wasn't for Chase, the defensive end for the not Chase, was it Chase? No, not Chase. Whoever it was, the stupid. I'm thinking of another game. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a Washington game for some reason. But yeah, if Colin Murray didn't have that speed and just throw that bomb, then you're looking at a team who would be the number 3 seed team instead of the number 1 seed. I just don't trust them right now. I still think they'll make the playoffs, but I just don't trust them. Because just because they haven't been there, done that. The Rams, they're just too. I mean, look at this was the first team that the Rams had beat that basically had it was a good quality win, if you may say. Their only wins have came against the NFC East, all terrible teams, and then they beat the Chicago Bears. So this is really your first win as a Ram to see. So just out of that alone, you just don't know what you're getting from Jared Goff week in and week out, because Jared Goff is a quarterback. If something goes wrong, like in the first series, then it sticks in his head and his mind, and he has a horrible game. But if everything's clicking, then he has a terrific game. Looks like a Hall of Famer. But I just think Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll and that offense is just going to be too much, especially with Metcalf, Lockett. You get your running backs back. I just think that's going to be too much to overcome. And I think that the Seahawks will find a way, and I think that they will win that division.
Now, we do have some comments again. Brandon Herr says that Vikings were stupid to let him go. Yes, I completely agree with that. And then he also says this the lost drop. Does this game, because of this loss, does Russell Wilson get out of that MVP race? And I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no on that because as you said earlier, there are a lot of teams that are 6-3. You have 3 teams in that division, by all means, that are 6-3, and you have the Tennessee Titans who are not in the playoff picture and are still 6-3. So I mean, this 6-3 thing is not. The record doesn't determine individual performances. I'm going to say no. I think Russell Wilson is going to get MVP, and that might seem like a biased pick because I have Russell Wilson on my fantasy team again. But I'm just going to say no on that. Trey.
Does it drop him out of the MVP race? No, but what it does do is bring all these other players back into play. You have Jared Allen for the Buffalo Bills, the quarterback, flying it up right now. Then you have Kyle Murray with that. He's just put himself in that race as well. Then a lot of people are adding me and telling me Aaron Rodgers should be the MVP. Aaron Rodgers does not have an MVP caliber here. Yes, he has hardly thrown any interceptions or anything like that. But what Russell Wilson did the first 6 games is astonishing. But he's starting to come back to the field. He's got to ride it. He's got to get over this turnover. He's got to stop pressing. But yes, this game and last week's game, it has brought all those other players back. And I think Kyle Murray, for what he's done these last 3 weeks, I think that right now is between him and Russell Wilson for what he's doing. He's rushing. He's already beat his rushing yards for last year. He's running the ball well. He's throwing the ball well. He has just amazing how we get a great wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, how better a thrower you are, So
yes,
Allen, but I'm not taking anything away from Allen. Outplayed Russell Wilson last week in Buffalo. Granted, he's playing with a heavy heart because his grandma just passed away, and I think that has a lot to do with it. But Allen's just having a phenomenal year for the Buffalo Bills as well. But right now, I still have Russell Wilson probably as your MVP leader, but he's definitely bringing it back is what he was leading by a lap. I think now the gap has narrowed to a 100-yard sprint in between those 3 guys, even in Aaron Rodgers, who has a significant chance as well. But right now, I think it's just a 3-headed race between Allen, Russell Wilson, and Kyle Murray.
Okay. Now, I would put those same three guys in the MVP race as well. One other guy that I would also throw in there is not a quarterback. Actually, it's actually a running back. I would put Alvin Kamara from the New Orleans Saints. Maybe in that MVP race as well. Maybe Patrick Mahomes, but that's just to explain how great he is. Getting 2 MVPs and within his first 3 years as a starter. Brandon Herrera, he said that Seahawks could easily go 3-6. I know I'm not gonna. I can see why he's saying that, but Brandon Harris also said, "What about Mr. Cook?" That's true. He did have a great. He single-handedly beat the Green Bay Packers. So yes, I would put him in the race as well. For Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook, would you put them in the MVP race?
I mean, Alvin Kamara, I would look at, but I mean, how many times do you see a running back nowadays because of the quarterback? They're overlooked. They're not as valuable. Even though Alvin Kamara is a phenomenal player, he can catch the ball in the backfield. He can be a receiver. He could probably be a slot receiver on most teams. He's a great athlete, but today's NFL is all about quarterback for some reason. I don't understand unless you have a great defensive year like J.J. Watt, who should have won MVP a couple of years ago with all the sacks. But right now, it's just those three guys are just having a phenomenal year right now, and I think nothing to put away from Alvin Kamara, but and then Cook on that aspect. To me, you have to be on a winning team. There's no way. Alvin Kamara, he's carrying that team. Now, if they go ahead and get on a little run here, and I think they're 3-5. So if they get on a run, which I think they're easily could, if Kirk Cousins does manage the game just right for them and doesn't turn the ball over and make stupid passes, then if the Vikings somehow get in the playoffs or make it interesting, then Cook can easily win the MVP. But right now, with the losing record, I cannot think of him as an MVP right now. No.
Yeah.
But
yes, he is 3-5. So to talk about this next matchup that we saw today, it pains me to talk about this one because my Broncos lost badly to the Las Vegas Raiders, 37-12. One touchdown in the fourth quarter. The rest were field goals. There were no point. There was no point after that game. It was just awful. There were a couple of times that the Broncos were in the red zone for the Raiders, and there were just interceptions thrown for Drew Lock. I don't have an answer to this because I honestly say that we wait till off season to give that answer. But do you think Drew Lock is the future for Denver?
I would, ever since Peyton Manning has left y'all's organization, y'all have been trying to find that quarterback. He's not that bad. He just needs You just can't have one starting year and just throw him to the wolves and say, "Oh yeah, our quarterback." Even though everybody wants instant wins and instant gratifications, they want that Patrick Mahomes winning right away. And not every player is like. Remember, Troy Aikman went 1-15 his first year playing.
That's true.
A lot of great players go through, and I think this is only going to make Drew Lock better. I think Drew Lock could be a great quarterback for you, especially with John Elway running the helms at the front office. He can easily teach them and show him what to do. I think he's a lot better option than what you had in the past in the Broncos organization since Peyton Manning has left. But today he had 257 yards. He had 4 INTs though, but you saw things that can make him just a couple of weeks ago, you saw him take the game-winning drive down Chargers and win that game. So he has all that ability. Just got to give him time, and doesn't have that much. weapons. I mean, Lindsey has been out for a lot of the season. He's a stud running back for you. Freeman, signed Melvin Gordon. Ever since he won that big contract, he has not been himself. You have Jerry Jeudy. He's a rookie. I mean, other than that, can you name me a wide receiver on that team? I mean, if you weren't a true fan of the Denver Broncos, I mean,
healthy, no, but we do have Courtland Sutton.
Yes, but like I said, healthy. Jerry Jeudy led the way today with 4 receptions, 68 yards, and he's going to be a stud in this league by every stretch of the imagination. And then you also remember your defense is missing the key aspect of Von Miller. So the anchor of your defense, basically. So I just give Locke another year and see what. And remember, this is 2020. You didn't have an OTA. You didn't have training camp. You didn't have all the practices that you need. And with COVID going around in and out of players, this year, just ride the ship. I think the last 4 years, y'all been 3-6 the last 4 years. So that's consistency. So I'll give Drew Lock another. He looks a lot better than what everyone thought he would. The last 4 quarterbacks you had. So I'll give him another year.
So yeah. So he's the only quarterback besides Trevor Siemian to have a winning record. Like if he stopped playing for the Denver Broncos right now, he would have the only guy besides Trevor Siemian to have a winning record. Trevor Siemian finished the Denver Broncos season having a record 13-7. And Brandon Turner posted a comment, said, "Hey Nate, was this game that someone picked the score to be 15-11? They almost got that 11, and yes, that was me who picked that. Who made that pick. And the Eagles at one point, which will, I'm only gonna get to this one because by request, somebody asked. The Eagles at one point had scored 11. So I mean, I don't see what the whole big deal is about that. And then Freddie goes, "My Giants are better than the Broncos." LOL. In what universe? And then Brandon Turner said, "Not by much."
Well, is that with Barkley or not Barkley? Because without Barkley, then no. With Barkley, then yes, I would put the New York Giants over your Denver Broncos right now.
I mean, Barkley is injured, but you also got to remember Denver has some injured pieces as well. Like you said earlier, Denver doesn't have Courtland Sutton, which is part of the reason why Denver had that 4-1 record ever since Drew Lock came into that starting position. And then you also don't have Von Miller, like you said earlier. But even if both players, if on both teams, if all the players were healthy, then I would put Denver over. The Giants. But if Barkley was healthy, but Denver has the injuries now, then I would put the Giants over the Broncos. And then Freddie says we're number 2 in our division, and what is the Broncos standings? We're number 3, and we're 3-6. We have the same record as y'all. Don't bring up the standings at all. Don't bring up the standings. We have the same record as y'all. So don't. Anyway, so do you agree with this whole that whole thing?
With what? The Giants being number 2 and y'all being number 3?
That we're number 2 in the division. What is Broncos standings? Do you agree with my point on his statement?
Now, no. I got to hype up the Giants, man. I mean, they did me a solid favor today. They beat the Philadelphia Eagles, which I cannot stand. Daniel Jones had a great game. But yet, every year seems like we go through this. There's one division in NFL that should not be considered for the playoffs. A couple years ago, it was the South. The Panthers got in at a set with a losing record of 7-9, I think, or 7-8-1. And then you had the Seattle Seahawks get in at 7-9, and the Saints, who everyone thought was going to win the Super Bowl, come into Seattle and the earthquake game with Marshawn Lynch. So, but that's what makes it competitive, is because all these divisions, it seems like it pushes teams to be better and strive. Even though you're going to make the playoffs, people are going to want to come to your team. So, yes, the divisions matter, Nate. But being the aspect, yes, being number 3 in the AFC West is a lot better than being number 2 in the NFC East.
So Brandon Herrera says, wait, Nate, did you say Freddie's Giants? I thought he was a Packers guy with that bad man. And if Freddie, he says that number 3, and then he says you be respectful, Trey. I'm going to comment on this one. I am not, even though Freddie, you're talking to Trey here, I'm not respectful to your Giants right now because you weren't respectful to my Broncos. And then he says, you be respectful to my Giants, Trey. So these 2 comments were towards you. What are your thoughts on those 2 comments?
I think I was being respectful to the Giants. No one expected them like 4 weeks ago to even win 2 games. They remember it was a battle between the New York Giants and the New York Jets, who's going to get the number 1 overall seed. Is Daniel Jones your future quarterback? But since then, they've righted the ship, and they should have beat Dallas when the Dak Prescott game, whenever he broke his ankle and split it in half, basically. So Giants are actually playing pretty well right now, and can I see them getting hot and getting a home playoff game and hosting a team? Yes, they could easily do that. Remember, the Giants went all the way to the Super Bowl as a number 6 seed a couple times. So can they get hot? Yes. But do I trust Daniel Jones as your starting quarterback? Heck no. Especially without Saquon Barkley running the ball and helping you. I think that teams are going to be taking notice of the New York Giants, and I think that they're going to start taking it a lot more seriously. I think Philadelphia is coming off a bye week, and I think that they overslept, feeling good about themselves for being the Dallas Cowboys a week prior to their bye week and thinking, oh, here we go. We got the division. We beat the Dallas Cowboys, and here we are. The New York Giants are only half a game out now. So I think people in the division are going to start the Eagles, Giants. If they play again, I think that the Eagles should beat them. But I would say this: Giants have a good thing going. They have a lot of good weapons. The defense is great. We saw that. The defense is one of the top teams in the league. At least they were a couple weeks ago. So get Saquon Barkley back. Get a couple weapons on your outside. Just need another wide receiver. Ingram's going to be beasting for the next couple of years as well. He's going to be the top tight end, one of the top tight ends in the league. So heads up, I think New York Giants are on the right path, but do I think they're going to win the division this year? No, and I think that's being very respectful to what they were a couple of weeks ago.
So I'm going to this is the last comment I'm bringing up, and then I'm just going to move on to the Miami Dolphins and the Chargers game. He says, I can't be respectful to the number 3 team. So what if that number 3 team is, the Cardinals or the Rams or, with a winning record? At first, I was being realistic for a little bit for the past couple of weeks, but now I'm just going to say, you know what, I'm going to go. Anyway, okay. The last game before the request is the Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles Chargers. Miami Dolphins won this game 29-21. I was really close on this game as well because I said 28-27. And at first I said 28-3, but that was a joke. It was Tua versus Justin Herbert. The one thing I will give credit for about the Chargers in this one is that the Chargers didn't blow a lead. They lost, but they did. It wasn't a blowout. It wasn't like a comeback win. So Justin Herbert in this game, he threw for 187 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception, while the Dolphins threw for 2 touchdowns. I bring up the point about with Drew Lock. Do you think that Justin Herbert is, the problem with the Chargers, or do you think it's the defensive coordinator who is allowing the other team to score as many points as they have in the past 4 to 5 games?
Oh, it ain't Justin Herbert's fault whatsoever. Remember, he's a rookie too, and he's throwing lights out right now. He's having a good year. I mean, he had 2 touchdown passes. Last game, he had an unbelievable game. The Chargers just lose ways that you never expect. If they lose ways, the Cowboys lose games, basically. The big Chargers, the way the Charger fans have to deal with this is, but I will say this: Chargers fans have a lot to look forward to. Just remember, they're 2-7 right now. They could easily be 4-5, 5-4, or whatever the case may be. But Justin Herbert is going to be your stud quarterback for he throws accurate. He throws the deep ball well. He can run. He can throw that slant route. He calls audibles at the line of scrimmage. He just looks like a veteran quarterback, a lot better than a lot of these other rookies have in the past couple of years. So that defensive coordinator for the Chargers, I don't think he's going to have a job in Los Angeles next year. I think it's mostly on him and the way they lose games on the defensive end. But Justin Herbert he's not the problem for the Chargers. Remember, this is a rebuilding year for the Chargers as well.
Sure.
So even though they're only 2-7, but those games are close. They could easily have a winning record right now as well. And then going on the other side, I don't know if we're going to get to this, but Tua, man, that guy, he just doesn't lose games. He knows how to play the game of football, and that's why I have them going to the playoffs. But if you're Chargers fans, it's going to be a down year this year, but at least you can sit on every Sunday and be, hey, we're in the game. How are we going to lose? At least you get to watch the entire game instead of getting blown out like the Broncos or just kidding. Just kidding.
Oh.
Just kidding. No, but I mean, if you're a Charger fan, things are looking up. You have a good head coach right now. Justin Herbert looks like he's going to be your future quarterback after Phillip Rivers. Then you just get a couple weapons on the outside, and then you get your running quarterback. I think their running back was out again too. So just get your couple weapons back. It's a rebuilding year, but the future looks bright for the Los Angeles Chargers.
So to go on to this Miami Dolphins team, they're another, one of those 6-3 teams that seems to be very common for NFL in 2020. But they're one of those 6-3 teams. You said that you have them going in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
How long do you think it's going to be before people actually realize, what Tua's strengths and weaknesses are, how to stop Tua?
Well, they better start doing that now because Tua is a proven winner. But I get what you're asking. Tua is just that type of ball player that he's going to take care of the ball. He doesn't force anything. He doesn't try to make the extra play. He takes what's given to him. He's not a game manager by any stretch of the imagination, but he sees the field a whole lot better than a lot of these other rookies are seeing it. You just saw it at Alabama.
Trey's cutting out for a little bit, so you said you saw it as Alabama with him, and I'm assuming he's talking about the teammates that he had, Jerry Jeudy, all that kind of stuff. So to move on, to talk about, we'll see if he has any final comments after that. But we also, by request, because you talked a little bit about this before, Freddie Ace hopped off the stream before the stream started. He wanted me to be respectful towards his Giants. And I wanted to talk about this game. Giants came back and won 27-17. For how they got that 17 points was very odd, but that's another thing for another time. So what were your thoughts on this game, and who do you have winning that division?
Okay, so I kind of lost you there. What game are we talking about?
I swapped the Giants and Eagles for a second when you froze out.
Okay. What was your question again? I'm sorry. We're on it now.
So, who do you have winning that NFC weird division?
NFC least.
NFC least. And what were your thoughts on this matchup?
I still have the Eagles winning the division just up because I don't trust the Giants to save my life. I'm sorry, Freddie. I just don't trust the Giants because you don't know what you're going to get from Daniel Jones week in and week out. You don't know what teams – and remember, Jason Garrett is the offensive coordinator, so he still has that Dallas Cowboy lingering effect of bad things happening to you. So I just can't see how the Eagles can keep losing games the way they're losing. Maybe I'm a fell, but maybe I shouldn't pick the Eagles because no team has won that division back-to-back years since the 2003-2004 Eagles have done it. So no team has won back-to-back. So right now it's the Eagles just because they're in first place, but I want to put it past the Giants or even the Cowboys. Depends what the Cowboys are going to do at quarterback right now. They're a mess. But if that defense starts playing like the way they have been playing, especially against the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles, if they start showing up like they did and they get their quarterback situated, if Andy Dalton can start looking like a veteran instead of a rookie, where these rookies are showing up, Andy Dalton, because Andy Dalton looks like he can't even read a blitz package right now. But right now, you just got to get the edge to the Philadelphia Eagles just by a process of elimination. But the Giants, don't sleep on them. Giants could easily come back and win this division, especially if they get hot, because remember, their schedule's kind of light too. I do believe. I haven't looked at their schedule, but I know the Eagles have a tough schedule coming up, a tough schedule. So I can see the Eagles. I think they got the Browns next, and then they got Baltimore still to go. They still have other first-place teams to play. So, and the Giants have a little less. But right now I'll give the edge to the Philadelphia Eagles just by slimmest margins. Now for this game, we saw what Carson Wentz is. Carson Wentz is not a good quarterback. I don't care what anyone tells you. I like the guy. I like the guy personally. I like the guy off the field. I think he's a great leader, but he's wildly inaccurate. He tries too hard a lot of times. He's not – I think that first year was a first-year luck, I guess you can say, because basically no one's seen – because he went to San Diego, the Division II school, South Dakota State. No one's even seen this guy throw before. And so I think that had an advantage of it. And now you're starting to get tape on him, and I just see the defense adjusting to him very well, just like they did Dak his second year. So saying all that, I just don't think Carson Wentz is just Dak. He didn't throw a touchdown pass at all today. He only had 208 yards. He's nickel and diming. And plus, he doesn't have a deep threat. Deshaun Jackson's out. He's old. He's older now. He doesn't have the deep threat that he used to have back when he was in the beginning of the year. So if he gets weapons, he might. But even when he had weapons, he was wildly inaccurate. They weren't beating teams like this where they should. That defense is the only thing that's holding that team up right now, and that's the only thing that's going to carry this team. But if that defense starts collapsing, it looks like they were a little bit today against the Giants, then look for the Eagles to start falling even harder than what they already have. The Giants played an excellent game today. They ran the ball really well. Daniel Jones didn't turn the ball over, played pretty great. He didn't have the ghost trip him up this week in the open field. He actually scored a touchdown. And he's carried he was a rushing leader for 64 yards with one TD. So Overall, Daniel Jones had a good game, but I don't know if you're going to get that every week for Daniel Jones, especially with Jason Garrett. And plus, Daniel Jones just doesn't have much weapons to speak of. So basically, he's trying to do it himself as well. But right now, just give the edge to the Philadelphia Eagles, just a process of elimination.
Now, what you said about Carson Wentz being a not a good QB, I don't agree or disagree on that statement. I wouldn't put the blame on Carson Wentz just yet because a fun fact, I've addressed this on the show before. Wentz had the Philadelphia Eagles have started over 40 different players this season, including that old line that was hurt. It was really hurt. When they played against Washington, and then when they played against games after that, the Rams, etc. All that O-line was hurt. So I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, but I'm not saying he's a great one either because he's never been on a healthy team. So if you put him on a team that's maybe like you have Patrick Mahomes there, but I'm just using it as an example. If you put him in, Patrick Mahomes might have like an emergency or something, and you put. I'm just using an example. I don't see him going in there, but if you put like Carson Wentz, maybe backing him up for fourth quarter, I think he might do well. But I don't see Wentz going to Kansas City. Now, before you froze out, you were about to say something about the Miami Dolphins, about Tua. Can you finish that statement?
Okay, so Tua Tagovailoa, he's a rookie playing like a seasoned veteran. He's poised. He's a winner. You just can't teach the stuff that he does. He doesn't turn the ball over. He sees the field very well. He knows he doesn't make the spectacular. He makes spectacular plays, but he doesn't make that like the Kyle Murray, Russell Wilson, try to overthink and try to do too much, make that spectacular like play where your guy's double teamed and he tries to put it right in there like Brett Favre used to do. He doesn't do that. He relies on his feet. He relies on his mind, his wit, his everything. You saw that in Alabama when he became his freshman year, when he took over for Jalen Hurts to take him to the national championship game. The guy is just mentally prepared for anything you throw his way. Remember, this guy was on the cusp of not even playing football ever again. And for him to do what he's doing this year, just proves that the mindset of that guy and what he brings to the table. And he's just everywhere he goes, he is just a winner. And that just tells you something. He knows how to carry himself on and off the field. He's a leader. Everyone listens to him. I just can't stop raving about this guy. And I hate Alabama. But I marvel at the fact that what this guy has done the 3 years he was in Alabama and what he's done the first 3 games, 3-0 this year. Now, that's all going to change when they all get tape on him next year and they start recognizing a full season against him. But I think Tua is smart enough to know that and he's going to adjust and work harder on his game, even harder than anyone else. And he's just a rare talent to find. I think he's going to be the best quarterback out of this draft class by far. And that's saying a lot because I like Joe Burrow coming out of LSU for the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think Tua is just going to be a rock star. And I think it's between him and Patrick Mahomes for the next generation, because I'm not counting Russell Wilson, all those elite over 30 guys. Patrick Mahomes, Tua, they're all 25 and younger. That's going to be your quarterback. I think that is a possibility of being like the Dan Marino, Brian Kelly kind of games. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, that rivalry kind of aspect. I think that's what you're going to see for the next 10 years if everyone stays healthy and COVID doesn't kill us all.
Yeah. So we're just about to wrap it up. You now's the time where you give your last few thoughts before we give this a close.
My last few thoughts is do not sleep. I'm going to finish off with the Miami Dolphins. I picked them on my radio show on Saturday to make it the playoffs. I thought they were going to get in as a number 1 seed, number 7 seed in the wild card. But with the loss with the Buffalo Bills today and the way Miami is playing on defensive end and Tua managing the game the way he is and the way they're running the ball right now, don't put it past the Miami Dolphins to go ahead and leapfrog over Buffalo and take the division title this year. I think both those teams do get in, but it's going to be a fun Week 17 matchup if everything goes accordingly. That's going to be a Sunday night football game for the division title. I sure hope it does come down to that. So Miami Dolphins should start looking very happy right now with what your team has.
So, my last final few thoughts is we did have a good question that I didn't bring up earlier. NFC East winner will be the Washington football team behind the arm Alex Smith. Originally, I had that thought until they lost to Detroit today. It was close, but I don't think Washington's going to get that. I'm going to go with Philadelphia. And then, the other thing I'm going to say is that with the rosters that they have right now, the Broncos are better than the Giants. Probably better than that entire division, except for maybe the Eagles, because we're all 5 of our teams are suffering with a lot of, except maybe Washington. But anyway, that's all I had. It's been Trey and I signing out for now.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.